1 path, 2 path, 3 path, 4. Which path will you take? May it not knock on my door. For if it knocks on my door, your path you will meet. What will you offer so you won't be his treat? Channel Effect presents The Gift, The Curse, and The Night.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You are now listening to Stories of the Lost on Channel Effect.
Welcome to tonight's episode of Stories of the Lost, right here on Channel Effect. I'm your host, Maxwell. This episode is near to my heart. I grew up in a very small town. Most make a joke that it's a cult town. I was hanging out with my cousin Tony, and he reminded me of one I completely forgot about. I don't even know how I could forget about this one, because this used to scare the shit out of me when I was a kid. Fuck, I even forgot the name. It's called the Broodoon. This was the story that parents would tell their kids to get them to go to bed or eat their food or not play in the forest at night. The nursery rhyme went 1 path, 2 path, 3 path, 4. Which path will he take? May he not knock on my door. For if it knocks on your door, your fate you will meet. What can you offer so you won't be his treat? Now I've hunted all these scary stories, but the Broodoon was a creature I felt was real. Maybe because the town always had something up about it. Like that would be great for a tourist opportunity. But my town was never too friendly to outsiders. To the point most people think my town is kind of racist. But they are just very small-minded. Shit. But these stories are the reason I started this podcast. Stories like Bigfoot or the Beast of the Morrow. Or even Mr. Gone. Hell, have you even heard about this channel that people remember, but there's no history that was even real? Now let's get back on track, shall we? The oldest thing I can find out is when a group of settlers founded this town. Originally, it was a Native American campsite that was abandoned. The writer stated that it looked like they just all left, but they didn't take anything with them, so they set up shop in the area. Now the group of settlers were mostly families with a couple of hunters and carpenters. No weapons and very little food. He wrote that when searching for food in the forest, they found very little. Kinda like the forest was empty. He thought that's why the natives left the area. But the hunter told him that's impossible. The hunter said he was spooked to go into the forest, and that God himself couldn't make him go in alone. But on the 3rd night at the campsite, they noticed things missing and also wagons damaged. Some of the men banded together to take turns at night to be lookout for intruders, but to no avail. A couple of days later, the people of the town are now starving and starting to turn on one another. In an act of desperation, they go into the forest at night. The writer wrote he was one of the men that went. And they stumbled upon a cave, and going further into the cave, they found little figures of people made out of clay and sticks, arranged in a way that matched the town. One young man who went further into the cave was seen running back as white as a ghost. The young man said he found a pile of human bones. When they made it to the campsite, they came back to several dead horses. Now these horses' bodies were described as being killed in such a way that only the torso remained. Now that's fucked up. Sorry to get off topic for a moment. I've been texting with my cousin Tony while doing the podcast, so I apologize for not giving you my full attention. But when he was here visiting, he told me my dad's health wasn't going well and that I needed to see him before it was too late. I'm not close to my parents. Growing up, they weren't the best. My dad was physically abusive, and my mom would turn a blind eye to it, but she was no saint either. This is also why I have periods of severe depression. My dad told me if I leave the town to never come back. And I never did. I'm an only child, and hold on. Sup, Tony, I'm doing the podcast. I'll find a ticket that gets me out tomorrow. Tell Mom I'll be there tomorrow.
You remember that night like it was just yesterday. You and your friends went out to the club to celebrate. When you went up to the DJ to request a song, that is when you met, and you felt like it was love at first sight. So after that date on the beach, you planned on seeing each other again the next day, and the next day, and again the day after that. Then you planned on a romantic dinner, just the two of you. That's when we entered. Now you are lost and you're trying to find your way out. If you think that your love will save each other, well, you should have paid attention to the signs in the beginning. So watch Channel Effect so you can tell when we are with you, because when you are lost, don't worry, we'll find you.
I am with you. I am almost at your door.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You are now listening to Stories of the Lost on Channel Effect.
Welcome to tonight's episode of Stories of the Lost right here on Channel Effect. If you follow the channel on social media, you know I had to take time away. My dad passed and I've been back in my hometown since. The funeral will be held in a couple of days. I'll apologize, but I'll say this right now. I'm kinda numb about it. Also, I want to use this episode as a bit of therapy, and normally I need right now. But let's get into things, shall we? This will be episode 2 of The Brood Dune. More information I found about this monster now dates back to the 70s. Charles Monroeville was a film director who wanted to do a documentary on the urban legend of the monster. Also the rumors of the cult in the town. Now this is where the town has a bad reputation for not liking outsiders. Then you have Mr. Stanley Smith not making things better in the media, making his own religion, calling it the Order of the Moon. I won't get into too much detail about Mr. Smith, but what I do want to talk more about is Mr. Monroeville and the story of lost audio logs they said he recorded. But he denies the whole thing. The strange thing about the whole story is Monroeville never made the film after staying here for almost 2 years. When he was interviewed in the years past, he would change the topic or get mad and leave. The film community said this was the downfall of his career, and he never made another film. So since I've been here, my cousin Tony has taken me around, and he has helped me with a lot of research about the Brood Dune. Also, he told me that he listens to the podcast and that he remembered the channel. He said his favorite show was The Unfortunate Days of Randall. I told him that the characters in the show all die crazy and gruesome deaths, and that the main character was institutionalized and just disappeared from the hospital. Tony took me to this weird bookstore in the town. Tony said that it was owned by a real witch, and it has a lot of strange shit. When I went into the store, I had the weird feeling of being home. Then I met the owner of the store. Well, the new owner told me it was his mom's store and he took over after she passed away. I told him I was doing research for my show. He knew exactly who I was, and he's a massive fan. He was like one of 20 people who had bought a shirt. So if you're listening to this, go show some love to Seth and his channel Creep Station here on Channel Effect. I'm not going to lie, and I'm not saying this because I know he is listening to the show right now. But Seth is fucking awesome. Also, he helped me pinpoint that my great generation's removed uncle was mayor of this town during the war. Now he has given me some books for my research. Seth has never heard about Monroeville and the tapes. But this stuff I'm reading about the war times is similar to the first journal writings I had. I gave it to Seth so he can read it also. I've been back to the bookstore a couple of times and we have both been finding out things. One of the strange things is there is a festival called The Offering. Now I grew up here and no one has ever talked about this. Now we do have a festival in the town, but it's like a night event and it mostly is like a carnival. Wait, something just.
This is the entry log of Charles Monroeville. I'm here researching a movie about this monster they call the Brood Dune. Now, I'm not from this town. Take my word for it when I say the townspeople remind me of that every day. But this beast might be similar to another creature that they killed in Scotland about 10 years ago.
Wait, how the fuck? Okay, listen, this just came to my computer. This means the fucking tapes are real. And you all heard it.
Children are our future. And that's why Channel Effect presents Not Another Breakfast Cereal. It's made for kids by kids. We have all the same stuff as those other guys. And even more. How much more, you ask? Well, you're going to just have to find out. So try Not Another Breakfast Cereal. If not,
We will find you.
just remember, with Channel Effect, we are with you.
We are tonight's entertainment.
You are now listening to Stories of the Lost on Channel Effect.
Okay, now I have many of these audio logs, and I'm trying to download them to my computer. I guess it made me kick my stream, but I'm back now. Also, I was going out to dinner with my family when Tony came to pick me up. He told me that he was afraid to knock on my door. When I stepped down, I seen a strange mark on the door of the motel. I know he was playing a prank to get my mind off of tomorrow night. When making our way out to the restaurant, we drove by Seth's bookstore. Tony told me that it caught on fire last night. They are looking for bodies right now. I really fucking hope Seth is okay and not hurt. Seth, by any chance, if you're listening, please contact me. Dinner with my family was something I wish I didn't have to do. My mom hasn't said more than 3 words to me, but I wish we could just get over it. But when I look at her, I can see the look in her eyes, and the tears tell it all. She looks at me as someone who is already dead to her. While coming back to the motel, I see that the logs are uploaded. Let's listen as a first react.
This is another entry log from Charles Monroeville. The information I've found is something interesting. The Cult of Midnight has a ritual called the Offering, where one member of each original family offers something to the Brood Dune in return for a gift. Now, if you're unlucky soul to give the gift of self, you have 1 year before you have to do it. By any chance, if one kills themselves before the offering, your first blood shall take your place. My informant doesn't want to go on record or even be recorded, but they say the gift of self, they make a big meal with a sedative in it to make the transition a lot easier. The sacrifice will also be given some time to lay down and sleep. That is when the family members will arrive and bring their offerings to the Brood Dune. The original family has a curse that they cannot leave this land. They have to keep the tradition going and their immortality intact. The offering has a mark on his door of a triangle with 3 slashes, 1 in the middle and 2 on each side, slightly below the starting line. That is the symbol for the offering.
We are tonight's entertainment.
You are now listening to Stories of the Lost on Channel Effect.
I would like to apologize, as this will not be your normal episode of Stories of the Lost. I will be your host for the night, Mr. Gon. I would like to inform you of the good news and bad news. First, I'll give you the bad news. Maxwell will no longer be able to be the host of this show going forward. But the good news is we will have new merchandise. Dinner with the Brood Dune, here at Channel Effect. Thank you for your time. Enjoy and take care.
This has been a Channel Effect production.
I know you're still here. I can hear your heart beating.